Today we're going to review how to present a CPR, a consistent price reduction report, to a customer via the telephone. It's going to be the first step of formatting the CPR. We then save it as a PDF. We call our client to set an appointment, which will include sending an Outlook invitation, and I will show you how to do that in Outlook. After that, we will fast forward to 30 minutes prior to the appointment taking place. We send the CPR PDF with a reminder to the customer, and then we make the sales call to review the report. To begin, we have a finalized CPR here that we did for a company called Avasis. I have all of my lines here. They had 470 items they purchased in a 6-month period, and we have all of our totals here at the bottom, and I'm sure you guys have a finished copy of something like this. The first thing we're going to do, we always make sure our discount from list column is hidden, which you see that's between G and I. What I like to do, because I consider 470 lines and I think of how many lines that is on a page, and I want to expand those a little bit because it makes it easier to be able to see and understand the data. So we're going to highlight all of the rows. By highlighting on the left column, you have to select the numbers. If you select individual rows, it will disappear. Adjust the row height. We'll crank it up by 1/20 of an inch. And it makes a big difference there in terms of visibility. You'll see some other things that I have here is that I've highlighted specific items in the report. Right here I have highlighted in red an item that there is no sub for, but it raises a question of why are you buying this? In this case, Alliance Rubber Band Bright Colors. It was only a $3.14 item, but I want to know what's going on here. Is this something that slipped? Is this something you want to be on hard substitution? Is this something that's absolutely necessary for your company? It raises the question of how we can improve our hard sub process. And a second item here that I have highlighted in green is an item that was found to have incredible savings. They were buying an Avery framed view binder, and ours is a BSN standard view binder, and the difference ended up being $241. So that's a pretty big deal on just a couple binders. Now that we have this set up to be totally visible, we're going to want to add a header and footer and then save it as a PDF. So how do we do that? We're going to come up to Layout, Header and Footer. And you notice this brings up the page setup window. The page setup window has 4 tabs: page, margins, header, footer, and sheet. Let's go ahead and start with header and footer. We're going to customize the header, the left section being our Smart Office Services logo. Now everyone should have a copy of this. I have mine saved in a directory here on my system. I will pull that up. And I have one that's specific for CPRs. And on the right section, you can do a couple things here. You can put the date if you'd like, or if you have something coming in, if this is if you're setting this CPR up for the future, sometimes I like to title it myself. That way the customer sees a clean title of all their information in a date range. So we'll put Avesis. With a date and hit OK. Now we're going to customize our footer, and this is going to be page numbers, and we usually keep this in the center because a multiple page CPR, it's nice to see I'm on page 3 of 5, or to let you know exactly where you are in the document. Alright, so we'll hit OK. Next thing we want to talk about in page setup is the actual page itself. You'll notice here in the orientation we're set up for portrait. We want to be landscape. This is a wider than it is taller document, so we click landscape. And we're also going to adjust the scaling. The scaling is not going to be adjust to 72%. We're going to want to fit to 1 pages wide and infinite pages tall. This means it'll stretch the document to be as wide as it possibly can on one sheet, but it won't limit it in height, so it'll be on multiple sheets. After that, we're going to go to margins. Our margins look okay at 1.5 inches for the top and a ½ inch for the header. And then lastly, we're going to look at our sheet. Our sheet is going to tell us to repeat rows at the top and select a print area. So rows repeating at the top will help when I'm on page 5. I can see that column A is in fact item number and column D is list price. It allows that to be on every single page. So I'm going to select those 2 columns. And then print area. Print area is the amount of data that is within the printer's parameters. So we want to have the least amount. We're going to select the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, and all the way up to the top right. And hit OK. That now tells the printer to only print within that sheet. So it's going to only print between column A and column L all the way down to row 479 and 480. Now that we have all that done, we're going to go ahead and go to File, Save As. And we're going to save it as PDF. Now, I have a folder set up for Avisus already that contains some of their other documents along with this CPR. What I like to do is I will title it with the company name and the date range. And we'll save. Now let's go take a look at that and make sure everything looks okay. Okay, so I see that I have my document here. You'll notice those titles are on every page, my logo is on every page, and at the very bottom we have our totals. So this looks pretty good. Let's save this and we'll move on to the next step. The PDF is a really clean file, and it's important that we use a PDF because it allows the customer to view it in the most optimum way. Say, for example, your end user doesn't have Excel. They would have trouble opening an Excel document. But a PDF is a pretty universal document that is able to be opened on a wide range of different softwares. Secondly, it limits the amount of play you can have with this work. So they don't have the ability to copy and paste these SKUs so easily and go shopping and find out why are they not paying this much for an item when they could be paying this from Staples, because we want to take a look at the whole total spend, and sometimes they don't get that, and so it eliminates the opportunity for data play when we can lock it down in a clean format.
Afternoon, Stephen. This is Tom Walter from Smart Office Services. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, Tom. And you?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I've called you today because I wanted to talk to you about Smart Office Services and some of the things that we're able to do for you now. As you know, Smart Office Services merged with Suffren in the latter half of last year. And although we've taken 6 or 7 months now to integrate the two teams, we're totally ready to share some new ideas with you. And so I wanted to take just 2 or 3 minutes to talk to you about something that we'd like to do for you.
Oh, that sounds great.
Great. Well, Smart Office Services is a company that's based around an idea of it's not what you pay, but what you buy that's important. And so I'd like to explain that a little more later, but let me start with this first idea, which is a CPR report. Now, a CPR report is our version of a business review. And I have to put that in quotation marks because this is not your typical business review. Now, have you got a few minutes to talk about that with me?
I'm really kind of pressed for time today, but I'm happy to reschedule something with you, Tom.
Well, I understand that, and I never intended this to be like springing it on you now, because I really do need probably more like 20 or 30 minutes of your time on the telephone. What I was hoping to do is schedule the appointment today so that we can kind of dedicate those 15 or 20 minutes on another day and time. Have you got your calendar close by so we can put some time down? So I'm looking at my calendar right now, and I'm thinking maybe a week from today. That's Tuesday the 18th. Do you think you have any time available on Tuesday?
I have no idea, Tom. I'm not near my planner.
Okay, I understand that. And so why don't I do this? Let me schedule a day when you know that you're at least going to be in the facility. You can check that day and shoot back to me the best time, and I will adjust on my side to accommodate you.
Sounds great.
Okay, great. So Tuesday you'll be in the office. So I'm going to set you up an appointment for next Tuesday. I'm just going to go ahead and schedule that for 3:30, since that's about the time that we've connected today, hoping that that's a good time for you. Again, if it's not a good time, please just respond with the time that suits you, and I will rearrange my calendar to fit you. We need about 20 minutes to cover this, okay?
So you're going to send me an Outlook invite or something like that?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm going to send you an Outlook invitation. If it's a good time, just accept. If it's not, send it back to me with the time that suits you. We don't need to spend a lot of energy on setting this. I will make my calendar fit yours.
No problem, Tom. Thanks a lot for calling.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate the time. Let me confirm your email address so I don't have to call you back if I have some sort of a typo in my system. I have smeyer@2bsmarter.com.
That's it.
Okay, great. On the way with an invite. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
So to set an appointment in Outlook, we're going to launch Outlook, and mine is Outlook 2010. In the bottom left corner, we have a tab called Calendar. We're going to bring that up, and we're going to open the date of Tuesday the 18th. We're going to select the time and date of which we'd like to have the appointment. At 3:30 p.m., we're going to double-click in the center, and I can start an appointment right away, or you can also hit the Add Appointment button here on the left side of the screen. Subject is going to be Avisis Incorporated. CPR. Location is Smart Office via telephone. Time is 3:30, and they said about 20 minutes, but we'll leave it till 4 p.m. just in case there's some questions or some standard rapport building, or you want to start talking about a new service that we would like to offer them. Reminder we can set up to, let's say, be an hour before you have the appointment, or in this case, because of a step that we're going to have a little bit later down the road, be 30 minutes. Now we can also send an invite. So we're going to invite Stephen and send this off to him. Okay, so fast forward, we're going all the way to Tuesday the 18th, and it is 30 minutes prior to the appointment, so it is 3 p.m. What we're going to do is we're going to send Stephen an email that's going to just briefly remind him of our appointment that's coming up at 3:30, and also have the CPR attached in PDF form. Now, you may be wondering, why do we send the CPR now when we had a conversation a week ago regarding this appointment? Well, we want to make sure that we don't have the problem, like I said before, of a lot of data play. Although there is no real easy ability to extract the SKUs and all this pricing data to do a large comparison, it's possible for someone to go back and forth and go shopping really quick when they have a lot of extra time, and also go through the CPR and really evaluate the numbers to find out, hey, well, I'm getting this price on this and this price on that. It makes it much easier to have a total review with you on the phone and combat any objections you may have without too much review on the customer's end without direction. So we're going to begin this with an email to Stephen, and I have his confirmed at smeyer@tobesmarter.com. I'm going to go find that attachment, which I know I have under Smart Office, under Avisis, and the subject being Alright, so a subject, Avisis Incorporated CPR Review. Good afternoon, Stephen. I truly look forward to our conversation at 3:30 p.m. Attached I have the business review in PDF form, which we will discuss. I will speak with you soon. And now we're going to add our signature, which everyone should have. In Smart Office, you'll see here my direct line, our 800 number, and we'll send that off.
Hi, Stephen. It's Tom Walter. How are you?
Great, Tom. How are you?
I am great, thank you. I emailed you about 20 minutes ago a copy of the review. Do you have that handy?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Super, great. Well, let's run through this thing. As I told you, our review is not your standard business review. We do report on the items that you purchased and how many of those you bought over this date range, which is November 1st through May 13th. But we go one step further, and that is to share with you lower cost alternatives. The idea being that there are more than one company making an item that do the same job, and my job is to make sure you know about the one that costs less money.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that on the phone, in placing some orders, and we've made some switches. I see that they're in this review and so on and so forth. The grocery store theory.
That's exactly right. Very good. So if you're on page 1 of my review, you'll see an item highlighted in red. Now, it's only one item and it's only $2.44, but I did highlight that because I wanted to share with you kind of the idea. Here you have brightly colored rubber bands. And it's a really rare item for me to see on any business review because most people think a rubber band's a rubber band. So I wanted to bring it to your attention that the brightly colored rubber bands, they cost about 4 times as much as the standard brown rubber bands.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 times as much. And
Who
some people,
knows? We got somebody that's a rubber band, has a rubber band fetish around.
yeah,
I'll
must
find out later.
be. Must be. I did want to let you know that we can automate our system to replace this item with the lower cost alternative, meaning that when one of your people types in the part number ALL07714, they don't get the brightly colored rubber bands. We send them the brown ones at the lower cost. So
Oh, really? That's
we
cool.
can.
That's great.
Absolutely. So if that's something you're interested in, we can set that up for you. So what I'd like you to do is just look one line below that to the Avery Easy D view binders, if you will. So what you purchased in this period was 24 of these view binders that you paid $10.99 for. And I'd like to introduce to you the Business Source brand. Now, Business Source is exactly the same binder. And in fact, the Business Source binder is being produced in an Avery manufacturing plant. And so that's one of the things that I'd like to make you aware of throughout this entire report, that there are those items which function exactly the same as the big name brand. You just aren't aware of this little company called Business Source. And on this one line item, you'd save $177 across the period.
Okay, Don, do it.
Okay.
Got it.
So I'm not going to take the time to roll you through every line item because I promise you I wouldn't take more than 15 or 20 minutes. So this is how the report works. I'm going to jump to the bottom of the report so I can share the big news with you. And what's the result of these low-cost alternatives? So let's flip down to page 17. And let me review the totals box with you. So the first line item that we call total list price, that's retail price, right? So it's kind of like MSRP on an automobile. Nobody pays MSRP, but we use it as a measure because the discounting received from that MSRP, that retail price, that's a good measurement of how well we're doing in guiding you to lower cost alternatives, meaning big name brands, discounts are not so great. Those brands that are fighting for your attention with their new products that do the same job, much deeper discounts. So it's a good measure for us.
Got it.
Okay, so you have the total list price. That was almost $106,000, but you spent $52,000 during that period, or about a 50% discount from list. Now, if I take all the substitutions that we're recommending and you were to standardize on all those items, that would increase your discount to 56, almost 57%. And that 57%, those different items that we want you to buy, that equates to $13,000 a year in savings. Now that's reducing your total spend by 12.5%.
Very interesting.
So I like to point it out this way because our competitors, the big box competitors, they like to throw rebates at you. Now, a rebate of 1% or 2% can't possibly measure up to 12% lower spend. And that's really where we're different, right? So it's not keep buying the same stuff day after day and I'll give you 2% back and you think you won. No, it's with my guidance and my help, you can really effectively lower the amount of money you spend on these things you need to run your business. Okay, so one final thing. I see here that we shipped you almost $900 in freebies over this period. And so that means that your team is effectively making use of our freebie program, and we are very pleased to send that. That means we're more effective, you're more effective, and together we're lowering our cost to take care of this category for you.
Why am I getting the freebies again?
Okay. Well, our freebie program
Nothing's
is
free, Tom. You've even told
well,
me.
you know, that's why we selected the name, and I'm glad you said that. Nothing is free, and the idea here is to point out something that's happened in our industry that's made everyone less efficient, and it actually is the idea of free delivery, which has made the cost of acquiring office supplies and products ever higher. So this is what we're trying to point out. Some time ago in our industry, started the standard process of no charge for delivery. And you know that the truck and the tires and the gas and the driver all cost money, so there's nothing free there. But it's just invisible to you. What that meant is that the average customer pays no attention to the stop and start of their workday in processing an order. So Jimmy or Susie comes to me and says, I need a dozen pens. I stop what I'm doing. I log in or I pick up the phone and I call a dozen pens, and tomorrow a dozen pens comes. But what does that inefficiency cost your organization? And what does it cost us to make that delivery? So what we've said is, hey, if you take the time to be more organized in coping with this process, we will share the savings. Now, what is the savings? Well, if I only have to make one delivery a week instead of 5, well, I've cut my delivery cost by some 80%. That savings in delivery cost, we share with you as a reward for being efficient.
Okay, I got it now. I remember.
Okay, so I see that your team's making use of that, and that should please you, because that means we're not getting 5 orders a week that are all really small. That means they're saving them, taking the time to place 1 order a week and not have this totally inefficient system.
Well, yeah, they're also more productive because they're just gathering the orders and placing them at one time rather than stop what they're doing and then going back to it.
That's exactly
Not
right.
any interruptions.
Now, I have one more thing before I run here today, but I do want to ask you, any questions about the review in general, any columns, any numbers, any cells that I need to talk about here?
No.
Okay. Sounds like you need a few minutes to review this in more depth. Let me just offer it to you to call me at any time. If you take a look at this tomorrow, next week, or whenever, and something is not clear to you, please just call me. My number is on the bottom of my email. I'm happy to stop and go through it and answer any questions that you have.
No problem.
What I do want to do is kind of set a reminder in my calendar for the next time I'm going to talk to you. Now, based on what I see, I think probably about 6 months from now is a good time for me to reach back and review how we're doing in terms of selecting the right items. Is that a good time for me to set a reminder? How frequently do you want to talk to me?
Well, I talk to you every day. I talk to you every couple of weeks anyhow. When we place our orders or whatever, you're calling me back and making suggestions. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. I'm going to set a reminder for 6 months from now. We'll reach back to you and we will do this same report then. In the meantime, thanks so much for your business. We really appreciate that. As a locally owned company, it's important to us that we stay connected with the community.